How's it going, fellow Kryptonians? Welcome back to a brand new Superman and Lois episode 8 of Season 2 recap, review, and breakdown. Now, yes, you may have noticed that I have basically had some XK and then my age has de-aged. About 10 years, so maybe I've got some of those Kryptonian cells now, but really, today's episode, yeah, I feel like I have a few favorite moments in this episode. Overall, it's definitely not one of my favorite episodes, but one of my most favorite things in it was the Jordan kind of Smallville Clark moments. I feel like when anyone was watching this episode, if you had watched Smallville, you know there's those times where Clark was trying to go out to do something. I don't know, whether that was like meet a romantic interest like Lana or whoever, and then that kind of sad acoustic music would play. That's kind of what happened with Jordan in this episode with some Superboy stuff. So there's other things that happen as well. I can't stand Allie. I know that's the point. But my god, did he really not make me stand Allie? Lucy, I knew there was something off there. We'll get to that. And also, it looks like Anderson might be going through a little bit of a, I don't know, freaking Pokemon evolution the next time we see him. So I'd love to know your thoughts about this episode down in the comments below. Like this video if you do go on to enjoy it. And hey, subscribe for more show coverage and news updates on anything and everything, I guess. And hey, if you actually think you're already subscribed, double check the red subscribe button, because a lot of people are telling me that it's either unsubscribed them or they thought they were subscribed in the first place, but they weren't. But right at the beginning here, the 1 year ago flashback with Natalie looking at the anomaly. So it turned out that she was right behind John Henry Irons when he made his escape from the Black Suit Superman. And as you guys know, like, it was smashing through like the ship and he just got away just in time. And it really does look as though that was a crisis kind of antimatter wave that was hitting their universe. I don't think we've had an explanation for this, like, properly. I mean, do excuse me here if there has been some kind of explanation, but that, like, portal, it's very lucky that the portal, this anomaly, kind of wormhole, if you will, that led John Henry Irons through to Earth Prime's universe appeared when it did. I mean, I guess you could say an anomaly just randomly spawned when the antimatter wave was coming, but I don't know. And either way, Natalie got in there right at the tail end of it, so this meant that she was floating between the world between worlds, like a space between spaces, and she had to go into hibernation for like 6 months. I do wonder things like, but you know, this is too nitpicky for some, but I was wondering like, how did the AI Hedy, or whatever her name was, manage to find the beacon if she wasn't even in the right universe and she was kind of in a universe in between universes? I don't know, it's just like, just to really like remove my bias from the show here, it just seemed quite convenient how the portal was spawned. You know, oh, they go through just as the antimatter wave was hitting. I would like some kind of like reason as to why that happened. If they ever did, I apologize, but I just don't think they have. By the way, after 6 months of hibernation, they basically had to like risk, or Natalie did with the AI, using the last of her ship to get through to her father's war suit Signal, and that would have led her to Earth Prime indeed. And it was just lucky that she made it, and that is when, I guess, after she came out of hibernation, was indeed the finale of Superman and Lois Season 1. I have to admit, I did miss John Henry Irons. It's good to see him back up and running again. He's definitely a character I just want to see more of, and I'm glad that they've stuck with him, especially with the apartment stuff later. But here we had a bit of an awkward moment in the hospital. I did find Natalie a little bit annoying, but at the same time, I do get her frustrations. She is still like a kid at the end of the day. Just like the constant like attitude with Clark. But again, I'm not saying that I don't acknowledge where all of that's coming from, even though, as John Henry Irons says himself, that they're not the same guy. But regardless, that would still be hard, you know, if you put yourself in her position, to look at the guy who kind of lasered her mum in half. But this was also a sad, awkward moment, because John Henry Irons said, oh yeah, Lois, you know, I'm just looking forward to spending time with my 2 girls. I was like, oh god. Oh god, that's a bit awkward, but, you know, it's obviously he had a massive bang on the head, so even with concussions, you have a bit of memory fog, so like the kind of concussion he must have had is kind of causing him a bit of confusion there. I'm glad that they just do a little bit of attention to detail with stuff like that, because I just feel like, again, to kind of praise Superman and Lois, even if it's in a small detail here, other shows I feel just like wouldn't always pay attention to that. It did make me laugh seeing the kind of parenting stuff with Superman and Lois, or Clark and Lois here again. They did Rochambeau, or what we call here rock, paper, scissors. Clark lost, so he had to come down with the parenting thing again, and it is like really bad in a way. Like, I didn't actually realize the gravity of how what we we learned in this episode with how Clark told Jonathan that they had to cancel the football games makes complete sense because they had to forfeit the wins, and not everyone is being mega honest, so you don't really know if anyone else is using XK. It's a pretty messed up situation. The first time in Smallville history, but yet again, Jonathan is still not telling Clark why and what is really going on there because he's protecting Candace. Now, again, what I was getting into before on my previous episode breakdowns, it kind of does suck that he's putting so much on the line for Candace, but it just shows you the heart of Jonathan. Sure, like, this is just, like, not a long-term relationship he's been in, but I don't think it also technically has anything to do with just his love for his girlfriend. It's because of his concern that he doesn't want to ruin someone else's life, if that makes sense. So it just really does show you the character that Jonathan has, even if it's to his own detriment. Even if his father and mother Lois would be like, no, you still got to look out for your number one at the end of the day. Jonathan's just like, no, can't do that. I have to kind of take the hit myself. I am wondering how this is got to all come about, though, considering, yeah, we did get a bit of, you know, escalation with Mickey, the freaking towny Mickey, hillbilly, whatever his name was. But still, like, I am really wondering how exactly it's going to come out to Lois and Clark. Now, as far as, like, the Kyle and Lana stuff, it was fairly tame this episode. A little bit of addressing the stuff with, as Lana put it, barfing all over whatever with her emotion at the end. But Kyle was helping her with her mayoral questions, kind of just, you know, and he was asking relevant questions, even though it was kind of frustrating for her because the scandal was being put onto her, so to speak. But regardless, with Kyle and Lana, it was more of just, it's nice to see that they're talking, they're co-parenting, if you will, all of that stuff's going on. But I wouldn't say there was any major developments this episode. They're just kind of taking it slow with the pace. But I would love to know if you think they're going to ultimately get back together. I feel like they will. It's just it might take all season to do that, or maybe even at the end of the season, Lana might only be willing to give him a trial run rather than like a fully, hey, yeah, let's be right where we were before. Next up, we had Allie, but the reverse Allie, if you will, talking to the reverse Anderson. Now, this dialogue was interesting. Now, I just feel like I'm being really stupid because they said that he stopped Kal-El, and the reverse Allie was like, you killed him? He's like, well, yeah, I had to. But, like, did he? Because that reverse Anderson, did he really kill Kal-El if the Kal-El of that world was Bizarro left to come to our world, if that makes sense? Like, technically, our Anderson killed the reverse world's Kal-El, but this reverse world Anderson is saying that he stopped and killed, oh, I had to, their Kal-El. So I don't know, like, again, maybe I'm just really having a bit of brain fog right now, but I just felt like it made it seem like their Anderson, the reverse Anderson, killed the reverse Kal-El. But that's just not the case because our Anderson did that. And the other Kal-El that is left is our Kal-El. So, Either way, though, that Anderson, it was like kind of sending a message through to our Anderson, and that is come here now. Basically, as we saw in this episode, the freaking stuff was really kicking off into high gear, and they're crossing over to the portal in the mines, and really, I can't wait to see, as I said at the beginning of this review, like, what Anderson is going to come back like. Like, truly, I feel like it's going to be like a freaking Pikachu to Raichu situation, if not, like, Charmander to, like, Charizard. Like, we're skipping Charmeleon. He's coming out with full force. Now, I feel like Chrissy, I mean, she was talking to Lois saying, yeah, I've been offered an exclusive of Lifetime, and she went along, and I don't know, I felt like it was a bit sketchy, and I know she knew that with the hazmat suits, and even the driver's like, you sure you want to do this? Immediately that tells me that, well, that doesn't sound so interviewy, if so you want to be in on this kind of thing. And, you know, just skipping to it, she kind of walked towards the portal. I was like, look, you could just stand back and take notes. Like, this is meant to be like, I guess you're reporting. So I'm surprised that Chrissy kind of walked towards and into the portal and had to be saved by Superman. I argue that was a bit dumb. As we know, Chrissy isn't seduced by Allie and her vision of crossing over, and what she did a few episodes back was learning the truth, as she did see the other side of things, like her father or something. They were all terrified of Allie. She learned that and reported that back to Lois, but I just don't believe that she would risk, God knows what would happen to you going through that portal to come back. She could just take notes and just be like, okay, they're going through the portal, okay, they're screaming, okay, why does she have to do that? I felt like that was a bit, yeah. So I was talking last episode about the Aubrey thing with Sarah. Was it last episode where they kind of like touched hands, and I completely understood how, you know, she wanted to go to her, and she even pointed this out in this scene, to be fair, like, she's gone through divorce, that's why I needed her at this time, etc., etc. But I was like, oh, because they, like, touched the receipt at the same time or whatever, if they were going to pursue that. And I just didn't want like a massive drama-y situation or things that just didn't seem so believable in a sense. And here we have something where it just... I think it's just the dialogue for me that does it. It's not so much even the situation, because Sarah tells Jordan that she had dinner with Aubrey, tells him why, that's completely fair enough. And then she says, like, I was just hoping that us three could hang out. I mean, imagine your girlfriend who cheated on you with another person asks you to hang out with that other person with her. That is just, oh man, Jordan, I have to give you a lot of props there. Like, all I mean is just, you know, even if there's like, Aubrey's the nicest person in the world, that is, like, as Jordan said, I'm glad he said it, like, yeah, it's just a little weird. I think the thing that rubbed me the wrong way is just how she was just saying, I was actually kind of hoping we could all hang out, but then she says, it would mean a lot to me if you would try to understand everything that's going on. It's not so much a Jordan not understanding or trying. It's just like, I feel like you, Sarah, should try to understand that this is just a bit strange. I mean, I feel like, why can't it be the case of maybe how she could hang out with Aubrey and Jordan doesn't have to hang out as a trio? I don't know. I think it just, all this is doing is it's reminding me of the thing of where I wasn't alone. I mean, I think the whole comment section was in agreement where she said that one episode when she cheated on Jordan, like, oh, I'm not ashamed and everything like that. I get the angle they were going for. There's no shame in like exploring your sexuality and things like that. But I argue there's like, you know, there is a shame to be had in cheating. Like, when you're with someone, you don't get a free card, even if it is exploring your own sexuality and things, to go off and do that when you're with someone. Like, it was just a bit of a weird way of articulating that in the episode, that I feel like a lot of people resonated. And then how Lana, her mother, was just like, oh, well, if he doesn't forgive you, he doesn't deserve you. Wait, what? You're the one who cheated on him. So it's like here again with just like, hey, yeah, you gotta hang out with me and the person I cheated on you with. It's just a bit like... So yeah, overall, I don't have an absolutely huge problem. I just hope that wherever this is going isn't just going to be a situation where they make whatever situation is going on with Sarah be put onto Jordan in such a way where it's like he's in some kind of weird wrong, kind of like that episode as YF mentioned, where it's like, oh, if he doesn't forgive you, then he just doesn't deserve you, kind of thing. It just made Jordan to be looking like he was the one to be making any issue out of something that shouldn't be an issue to them, when it was kind of an issue anyone would have, if you know what I mean. So yeah, a bit apprehensive about where that could be going. And then, like, he didn't turn up at the end, as I mentioned. That's kind of like a callback, if you will, to the Smallville days, kind of what his father's probably gone through, and now he's Superboy in a way. I had to save his brother and whatnot. I'm a fan of all that stuff, but now I'm worried, like, oh, probably something turned up, and now Sarah's probably gonna have a go at him, maybe next episode. It's like, why didn't you turn up? But I get why, because Jordan can't be honest, and maybe the excuse might sound lame to her, because it's kind of hard to make up an excuse. Like, what's he really going to say? So yeah, we're going to have to wait and see where this goes. But let me know what you think about my thoughts there. Am I being too bothered by it? Or is it something that, yeah, you're a bit apprehensive about as well? It was in this moment when Jordan realized that Candace was the one dealing the XK, if you will, because that's when your rough boy Mickey came into the school and was harassing her about it, so he managed to stand up for her. It was at this time in the episode when Sam Lane realized that the pendant was missing from the safe. We have frickin' Anderson himself go to the mines and wipe out a guard, and this is where they were all moving in to go to the portal. Clark, Sam, and Lois all kind of figure out that, hey, what if they're trying to go to the inverse world? Because that's how Bizarro got in through the mines in the portal. So they kind of like quite quickly put this together, but at the same time, I guess they had all of the pieces of the puzzle. Either way, though, this is when Superman rushes in and people start screaming. So it seems to me, at least from what we can gather, that to enter into the inverse world, you need, well, successfully, you might need to have the pendant. I'm not sure about that, because we saw Anderson take some XK as well. I'm not sure if that's why he was easier to go through. He's obviously going to be fine as well. But other people started screaming, and for now at least, it seems as though, as far as Clark could tell, that they didn't survive. But I am wondering why Anderson took the XK. It could be because Superman was there and he thought that maybe he would have to brush up against him or something like that. But either way, she might have known that to get through the portal, you need to have the key to entry might be the pendant. But she didn't make it through, only Anderson did. And as I said, when he comes back, considering, as it keeps getting reiterated to us, let's become gods, or you're going to be godhood-like if you merge with your other self with the pendant or whatever. It seems he's going to come back super charged. Now, Sam Lane was freaking out about Lucy being there, and I thought there was something up with all of this. He also, in that interrogation scene, if you will, looked like he was gonna go crazy at Allie, and luckily Lois stepped in there, but I also can't blame him. And it was a shame because, you know, we had that moment when Lois was going back to the house and she was getting upset, saying why would she just leave and everything like that. I was thinking to myself, I hope this is one of those times where it turns out that Lucy did die, even though it didn't feel significant enough at the same time. Like, normally if a big character like that, someone like Lois Lane's sister, was going to die, you might see it. But it's one of those moments where I could almost predict at the time, oh, she isn't really dead. Like, come on, like, she isn't really dead. And even when she did come back, I was thinking, like, something was off. I mean, I didn't exactly guess it right. I thought, for some reason, this might be the inverse version of her, and she was just faking it the whole time. But no, it turned out it was our Lucy at the very end of the episode, just jumping to that. And she was just the backup method. Like, if Allie didn't get there, well, hey, I'm going to ensure that she will. And that was through freaking knocking out her father. Like, she's far gone. My God. She's really gone, isn't she? We had some more developments on Natalie kind of having a go at Clark again when they were back, because he kind of forgot to take him back from the hospital, but you kind of understand why, because he's Superman and he had to be somewhere. John reassured Clark about that, but at the same time, I did like how, despite all of that, towards the end of the episode, we had Clark reaching out to Natalie, and she kind of owned, like, I know you're not the same guy, but can you even begin to see, like, you know, what I have to deal with? It's really messed up. And he gave them the keys to a pretty, you know, worn down place, which was perfect to her and her father. Not only that, they had a nice little workshop area, which I feel like they're definitely going to utilize it with regards to upgrades at some point. But it was just nice seeing Clark being Clark in that moment, like trying to still get across to her, saying, hey, maybe after some separation, you know, you can still get to know me and see that I'm not that guy. But yeah, it was just like some nice, natural, characteristic-y kind of stuff from Clark there, whilst still keeping John Henry Irons and Natalie in the show, but paving a way forward where they can be in the show without this drama here of her only seeing the face of her mother's killer. But this is where we arguably get the best moment in the episode, and I felt like they did it very well. So we had Jonathan walking Candace back. She also drops the I love you bomb to him, which he seemed really happy with. Like, they even kissed in that moment. But that's when your boy Mickey rocks up, and it's really cool. Again, what I like about this is it doesn't feel too rushed, you know? I mean, I know we're on season 2, but I feel like the way they've paved it out for Jordan, the way he heard it in this moment, rushed over there. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of him running, though. He seems quite proficient with that now. But either way, like, it was pretty cool seeing him defend his brother. You know, he had the hood down. I hope that's not clothes he goes to school in every day, because then arguably you probably could recognize that. But either way, it was pure vigilante mode. And I like how Jonathan was just like, you know, I'll send him after you again if you ever go near Candace again. It was just awesome. Also, just how that guy Mickey took XK, but we still had Jordan using the training he's got from Sam Lane. I suppose that's where this comes in, and absolutely own him. I do feel like he could have probably gone in the diner, though. I mean, I know he had bloody knuckles and I suppose a bit of blood on his face, but yeah, I suppose, like, I see what they were going for there. But, you know, if that was me, I probably would have just tried to wipe it on my jeans or on, you know, somewhere in the inside of my jacket and go in. I know I've said it a few times. This really does remind me, you know, you saw Jordan looking in through the window and he's like, ugh, you know, and he has to go off, and then he even came back, and it was just very younger Clark Kent. Like, literally, I feel like I've seen this so many times, but it also felt refreshing at the same time. I just hope that this doesn't come back to bite Jordan, but I feel like it could do. I can imagine Sarah just being like, you know how important this was to me, you know, you said you tried to understand, you know, why I needed this. I just really hope they don't take that route, because I just like Jordan and Sarah together, and I just don't want things to get irritating. But other than that, I think that was mainly it. I mean, of course, you know, we've already somewhat mentioned Lucy taking out General Lane at the end, putting something in his tea, the same stuff Allie uses, I'm sure. The only thing I'm thinking is like, yeah, okay, you got his ID card, but she's being held in like a DOD facility. Are you really going to just be able to walk in there and get her out? I mean, I know you're the daughter of Sam Lane, but I don't know, like, but ultimately, I feel like Not loads happened this episode. It was more just like, hey, cool Superboy moment. You know, a bit of parenting from Lois and Clark, or mainly Clark, you could say, still holding a bit of grudge against Jonathan. I do find it interesting how Lois was also like, don't let this go on for too long, trust me. That makes me think that maybe it will, and this is going to get a bit of backlash from Jonathan. We're going to have to wait and see there. But then, you know, other than the potential Pokemon evolution we're going to have from Anderson, which we still haven't seen, it would have been cool to see maybe a final scene with him on the other side, like not beginning to merge, but like just, okay, this is the beginning of the end, maybe. That would have been cool. And the Lucy ending thing, I don't know how I feel about that yet. I mean, I suppose she is completely brainwashed, but this episode was just like so-so for me. It had a few cool moments in it, but I feel like it was more of like a bridging episode into like what's going to happen next, so to speak. I think last episode was just like a lot better in a lot of ways, but that's not like massively knocking down this episode, because as I said, I feel like it's more to just facilitate what's to come. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, of course, and like this video if you've got this far, and if you enjoyed it, do consider subscribing, of course, if you want to stay up to date with Superman and Lois and other content on this channel. Other than that, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. I have a Discord server in the links down below or in the description. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Kryptonians in the next video. Goodbye.